When I was 13, I've always dreamed of being a game designer and thought of myself as someone who will make the greatest games ever, making ideas on paper and thinking everything would just naturally unfold. At 17, this is when I thought that when I go to college, I would walk out a professional who would know the answers to literally everything. Well, 7 years later, I've realized how stupid I was and wished that I could have started programming and prototyping more early, but it's better late than never. Skipping ahead a few years, I've realized that I'm still the same person even after college graduation. However, there is one important lesson that I've learned after all these years for game development, and that is if you really want to learn something, you yourself would go out of your way to research it rather than someone else do it for you. When I've learned that lesson, I was able to learn so much more within months of doing stuff myself than years at college. Now, college has its ups as well, but I want to talk about my experiences that if you decide to go to college for game dev, these are things that may happen to you. Let's start with the pros. One advantage is that you might meet people who have the same level of motivation as you. This is important because you'll establish connections with these people in the future. You can learn the basics of how game design works. It's not like you're not going to learn anything, but you will learn the basis with theories and game concept docs and more. The best pro, which is working with people in person. For me, personally, working with people in person is much better than online. Starting a portfolio and getting help with it as well. You can get help from staff and friends to help you get started. The last pro is mentoring. This can help since you'll have someone to get advice from who has a lot more experience than you do. Those were the pros from my experience. Now with the cons. One con is that most of the stuff you can do online. The only thing you can't really do is work with other people personally, but there are workarounds with that issue. Everything else can really be found on YouTube, videos, articles, or even in communities like Discord. Another con is that some people are there to waste time. I've seen people literally go there and sleep, not even paying attention to what is being shown. Some people are also very uninterested and lazy. You will also most likely have to deal with other classes that are not gaming related. This is probably the main thing for most people, as it is one of my things. This ended up dividing attention. Since you'll have multiple classes, you'll have to split your time with each class, meaning you'll perform worse in the area that you want to perform the best in. It's a low chance that you'll have a job right after graduation, considering how heavy the games industry is. Nothing is ever guaranteed for you. Unless you decide to make your own studio, then this doesn't apply to you. You will most likely be in debt. Luckily for me, I'm not in that situation, but I know people personally who are literally in debt by the thousands. The highest I've heard was around 40,000. That money could easily be used for development, investing, or something else. You will most likely not be prepared for the actual industry once you're done. This takes years of learning and an extreme amount of time to learn. Considering that classes are short in time and usually trying to cover how the full cycle of game dev works is not a good way to learn, considering you are not going to have enough practice time and things possibly being rushed or skipped. Teachers may talk about something completely unrelated to game topics. This may be something that just happens in my school, but there were times when teachers would literally take half the class talking about something completely unrelated. Most of the info taught can be found in articles or books. Theories and other info can be found online if you search long enough. Going to college and trying to find your motivation there while you're starting is horrible. I've known people who dropped out, quit, or were left unmotivated due to them not finding what they wanted. Teachers won't care how you feel, and you should be the one motivating yourself instead of someone else trying to mainly do that for you. You will probably learn at a faster rate on your own than at college. This depends on the person, of course, and their circumstances and what they do. For a conclusion, should you go to college for game design? Based on my experiences, no. You can mainly learn the stuff online and for a much cheaper price. In the span of a few years at a college in New York City, I have learned more teaching myself after class in 2 months. While at college, I made a few games within a few years being there. I have made the same amount of games just by looking up tutorials online and have learned far more in programming and theories in game design and development. Please don't go to college thinking that you'll be professional afterwards. It's not gonna happen, and not everything is guaranteed. This takes many more years of experience and practice. It can't all be covered in a few short classes in college. You should teach yourself to be motivated. You should be your own teacher and student. You yourself should look for the info and teach it yourself. That will show you your motivation instead of going somewhere and paying someone who may not care for you. More importantly, you will save on time and money that is better spent elsewhere. If you are going to go to college, it could be better to go for something like business or computer programming as an example, as those degrees are far more valuable than a game design one. Those degrees offer opportunity in game design and in other fields as well. This is the end of the video. This is my first video and any feedback is greatly appreciated. I hope you found the info in this video informative, and you should like and subscribe if you learned something. Leave comments on anything you'd like to hear me talk about next.